You're listening to Shoe In, covering the ins and outs of all things footwear, from sneakers to heels, loafers to slippers, and every type of shoe in between. Brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear.
At this time of year, Sabri, I'm not sure if it's winter or if it's spring, or if spring's going to take another 8 weeks, or if winter's going to be here for another. I'm not. Every day is a swing. It's like one of those things where you got to have on like a sweater and then take it off in the afternoon. But
yeah,
one thing I'm excited about is that there's more daylight during the day. I feel better than I did 2 weeks ago. I'm more energetic.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's coming through on this podcast, but I'm excited to have more warm weather, more sunshine.
Yeah, for sure. More vitamin D,
Exactly. Folks, thanks again for joining Shoe and Show, the Footwear and Shoes podcast. We cover all things footwear. We especially like to cover new footwear companies and new footwear brands because it brings a lot of energy in the same way the sunshine does to our industry. New ideas and new product types really make us excited. And today, I'm excited to have on exactly one of those new companies, QUADSis, who, the birth of which we'll talk about today. But it's a really interesting kind of case study, especially for folks out there who are thinking about starting a brand or who have started a brand. They'll probably hear a lot of the similar journey in this conversation today. But we're excited to have Janet and Stephanie on from QUADSis, and also our friend Caroline de Baere, who I think we'll bring in this conversation as well, but one of the industry experts who helped guide them along their path and why Caroline was so important to their journey. So Janet and Stephanie, they're from Atlanta and hot Atlanta down in the state of Georgia. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
So tell me, QUADSis, what's the genesis of this footwear company? Who are the audience and the buyers you're trying to reach with your new company?
All right. So QUADS was born about 6 years ago when my now teenage daughter was in second grade wearing a women's size 7 shoe, which is very difficult. We found out to find shoes for a young tween in a women's size, and the amount of frustration and tears of trying to find a shoe that was age appropriate, cute, fun, not something I would be wearing, and that was appealing to her. This went on and on and on for years. So I was really frustrated and decided, we're going to do something about this. We're going to create a brand and create a footwear brand to solve this void in the tween market for girls wearing a woman's size. So QUADS represents strength and confidence, self-esteem, and self-fulfillment. It's also, the strongest muscle in your leg. It's very important. And it's also the number 4. So Stephanie and I have 2 daughters each. So there's also 4. And that's what QUADSis is. Yeah. QUADSis is strength. And we want these girls to be confident and to have a shoe that they're proud to wear, that is age appropriate, that's built for them. So
I think that's great. I think, Sabri, we hear a lot of this where we get a lot of emails where people are frustrated with shoe sizes and widths and wondering why the footwear industry doesn't do more to make shoe sizes, that's similar in terms of fit and feel. There's a number of reasons for that, obviously, but I think it's great that you're filling up a gap in the marketplace that is an emotional gap as much as it is a need. I know. I mean, I have 2 young daughters, and one in particular is very driven by her outfit on a daily basis, and if one little piece of it's off, then everybody in the house's day is off. It's not,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Welcome to my life.
So I think that's great. So you had this idea. Obviously there's a need and a fit. So how did you go about starting to take this idea and actually make it a reality? What was the process, and what were your steps through that?
So it was a lot of research and learning about the footwear industry. And when listening to the Shoe and Show number 18, must know tips for launching the next great footwear brand.
Oh, what a good plug.
I emailed you in August of 2021 asking for expertise in the footwear industry. I think, starting off, Stephanie and I have been friends for about 20 years. We used to be coworkers back in our early days. And while we both have a finance background, Stephanie also has an interior design background. So I think understanding our strengths and what we're good at, as well as being very honest with yourself and knowing what the gaps are, what you're not good at. And in order to build a strong, effective team, we knew that we had some holes. We're not in the footwear industry. So leaning on the experts. So emailing you to ask for a designer and a product consultant. And, within 2 days, you emailed me back, and a month later, we partnered with Caroline, and here we are. So she has been instrumental in guiding us through not just footwear, but just the business, the industry, throughout the whole journey. So she has been a wonderful part of our team, and has helped, guide us through this journey, which has not just been finding suppliers and, visiting our suppliers and understanding all of our partners, which, is critical to us. We want to have that personal relationship with every piece of our business. So,
Yeah, I think surrounding yourself with people who know more in specific areas than you do is really important in building a good team. So that's kind of, as we got to talk to Caroline, we just got the ball rolling, and we just kept moving forward and plugging along and figuring it out. And it's been a really fun journey. Crazy, but fun.
Yeah. So Caroline, let's talk about, you got the call. They shared the idea of what they were trying to solve, which is a unique niche in the marketplace, a very needed niche. So where do when you get calls like this, because I'll remind people, you've been in the industry for many years. You don't look a day older than 29, but you've been in the industry many years, and so. From your background, I mean, obviously you work with companies. You also teach design development courses for students. When you got the call, where do you start with people who have a dream and a desire to build something? How do you help them make that into a reality?
So it's great. I've had the opportunity to help a few brands, and this specifically, I think I got on with Janet and Stephanie like the next day. I was so excited about the product. It ends up, right, I've got 13-year-old twins. They'll be 14 next week. And my daughter was in a similar predicament. And it ends up that Brooke, the story you heard about Brooke, it ends up our daughters are about a month apart in age and have hit it off beautifully. So I'm super excited about that, sidebar. But generally, I felt like there was a need in the marketplace for this type of product, and was really thrilled to partner with Janet and Stephanie. I recommended a designer named Megan Kimber, who is working with us, and Megan does, all of the sketching and detailing of the specs based on, of course, the vision that Stephanie has as principal design directing, and Janet from, all other aspects of the product. And so that's been really exciting. But what I looked at initially was, other than loving the opportunity to help them, was this idea of working with two women who have an amazing vision and wanting to do something to change the footwear industry, having been in it for 30 years. So I started at birth, if he says I'm 29. But generally, I wanted to recommend partners I thought would be, people with great integrity and people that I knew could bring the idea to fruition. And I love working with partners in Brazil. So we wanted to keep it in the Americas, which we thought was, kind of critical for the brand. We love the idea of, designed in the US, made in the Americas, and partnered with Sunset Shoes down in Novo Hamburgo. I've spent a lot of time there, as you can imagine. And I've been working with that group for probably 5-6 years now, and just think highly of them. So we've had calls and prototypes and, everything. And Janet and I last October went to Brazil. And what I love, one of the things I love about working with them is that they want to know everything. They're like sponges, just absorbing the information and wanting to learn as much as possible. Like nothing's out of the realm of tell me more. And it's beautiful, right? They've been able to just do that the whole way. And so Janet and I went down to Brazil, and we were on the factory line, and we were at the tanneries and visiting suppliers, outsole makers, watched our outsole molds being made. And that's one of the things that a lot of people nowadays don't do and aren't willing to do. And Janet and Stephanie have been willing to do that and wanting to do that. Go down and see. You can do everything online, everything on Zoom now, but they really have dug into just absorbing everything they can about what the product is, and, launched in November. And it's been super exciting. We just launched early spring last week. So it's been great.
Awesome. I would love to learn more about you all's design process and again, just more about the inspiration, because you guys said that, your daughters inspired it, but do your daughters kind of input their opinions in the design process? Do they help out? I feel like they would.
Oh, yeah.
I was like a teenager.
On some of our calls together, right, Caroline?
Oh, yeah, it's pretty fun.
So when we first got going with this, I mean, obviously one of the most expensive components of building a shoe is the outsole, right? So we were trying to find an outsole that we could actually utilize through different seasons in different ways. So we ended up, and granted, you're thinking about the 8 to 14-year-old girl, and kind of what they think is interesting and cool at this age as they grow. Well, we decided that a wedge would be something we could actually take from winter to spring to summer and do different things with that. And so once we knew what we were going to do there, I started just mood boarding, just dumping ideas, down on paper. And Megan Kimber, our designer, she and I, we click. Like she can see things. Like I can just throw a color or a movie out there, and she can put together, ideas with it too. So I feel like we just went back and forth and came up with a couple of different styles for our first season on that wedge. And the whole idea was that it needs to be stable enough. Like a women's wedge usually is more narrow on the bottom than it is on the top. And that actually creates stability issues for girls, right? So it needed to be stable on the bottom. We needed to make sure that it had a little bit of a lift, because these girls want to feel cool and, So we went with a 1.5 wedge, but it actually toe to heel is about an inch, which more naturally mimics the way your foot rolls on the ground as you walk. So it gives them that little bit of a lift without, anything crazy. But then from there, we went into materials and got our daughters involved and showed them the original sketches. And there was a lot of input back and forth and a lot of excitement. And one of the things about quads is this is deeply personal to us. So the shoes also are, we give them names, like actual, names, girl names. And so our daughters have loved the idea of like picking which one they want their name on and what they're excited about. So it's been it's been really fun. And also like just really fun for them to see the four of us, build this business and to have them be a part of it and see that, you can do this too if you really find something that you're passionate about. So yeah, that's kind of where we
I
are.
love that. And then you guys just launched this past November, correct, last year. So how has that been? How has the journey been so far since launching the brand?
Lots of ups and downs. No, it's been good. I think we launched with a holiday line initially. And I think it could have, we've decided like that could have been awesome because it was Christmas and everybody was buying, or it could have been slow. And it was kind of up and down. But since we've gotten a lot of excitement about spring, and we feel we're really optimistic and looking forward to the future. But just getting the word out is kind of what we're focused on right now, making sure we can spread the word, get our brand name out there, and show what we can do. And this is a need in the market. It's a hole for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's almost building the entire brand and learning the whole shoemaking process, building the business. I feel like that's been the easy part. Now it's go to market. So that is going to be where we're going to put a lot of resources.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you guys have built the foundation really well. I mean, working with someone like Caroline's very important, and I think you're, where we see people fall is they try to do everything. They try to do the business side and the design side and the manufacturing side, and it never works so well. It typically works really well when you start brands, when you have someone with the business mindset and background and someone with the industry understanding or design understanding, that you can mold those two together. I mean, and that even works up to the multi-billion-dollar shoe companies, right? I mean, we see that with some of our members still today that are all over the world now selling. It's still that same idea of making sure that the teams are balanced between the design and the aesthetic with the business sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all got to pay the bills and keep the lights on. So, I'm looking at your website, which is great. And I would tell people to go and take a look while you're listening to this, but it's shopquads.com. And you can see the spring sessions in there. If you're listening to this a little bit later in the year, I'm sure that they'll keep updating this with different styles and trends. But maybe you can share with us, what's your distribution strategy? Are you trying to do more direct to consumer? Are you trying to get into retail outlets? What is, as you guys continue to update your lines and try to grow the business, what are you thinking about?
Well, right now we're definitely direct to consumer. We wanted to make sure, and heavily on social media, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Facebook, and Instagram, and then obviously shopquads.com, direct to consumer. As we grow and select wholesale opportunities, there's a handful of tween boutiques in the Southeast that we will have exposure with, because they're going to, have the shoes in the shop to pair with the outfits that, there's no shoes really to go with. So we really wanted to know our customer, know our target market, understand and listen before we, do go into retail and pure wholesale. We just wanted to retain that creative control first and make sure we had a quality product, at least a couple of seasons to go through the manufacturing, the logistics, the shipping. We wanted to see the whole process. What does the packaging look like? Is it consistent every season? That's right. One thing that is extremely important to us, is the consistency that, and creating our own molds and putting that investment, our own lasts, our own molds, since nothing did exist in the marketplace, that when you receive a pair, you're going to get the same thing every time. So,
yeah.
But as we grow, we will be looking to go into retail as we grow. But I think that's been one of the marketing and learning the meta universe of advertising is, there's a lot there.
One of the things that I felt was really important during the process was they didn't go and take an existing last, an existing outsole, an existing product and just slap their name on it, right? That did not happen, which can be the case many times. It was designing and developing a last from scratch. Same thing, an outsole unique to the brand, opening those molds, which is a huge investment, as all of us in the footwear industry know. And same thing with the wedge, making it the right height, getting all of the cushioning right, using specific materials. And then the uppers were unique designs also, and lots of pattern iterations and fit trials. It's critical to do that to make something that's unique and important. And then, other than the tween and preteen, tween girls, a lot of women are loving the shoes too. It's, kind of the unexpected, sort of not upmarket, but, another side benefit was that women also are loving the shoes.
Yeah.
So you can, so women, come on, and your daughters too, shop quads. But it's great. It's been an amazing experience.
Yeah, maybe you should use marketing you never felt so young. So you can do two different marketing campaigns to the tweens and then to the women who want to, it's like, what was that? The Mean Girls. He's like, oh, girls, you make me feel so young.
Right. You live your youth.
Get out, Mom. I can only, back in the day, if you're talking about advertising, I always think about this, but, you would advertise on like Teen Magazine or it'd be very specific, right? And nowadays it's like they're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, everything, right? It's the same way our lives are all like, it used to be just one cable box and now we got 18 streaming channels and we're trying to figure that out, right? I feel for you guys as you try to find your way, but I think if you just stay true to what you have been doing and focus on your core market and keep, I think one of the biggest takeaways is if somebody else is listening to this and you're thinking about starting your brand, I think Caroline's point of going to the factory.
Absolutely.
It's all relationships in this industry, right?
Right. Well, no, we went factory direct. Yeah. Right.
Yep. People who are making your product or your materials, they actually, they can do Zoom, but they actually do care about what they're making as well. And they want to see something succeed so that their business grows along with those folks making it and creating something. So I always tell people, like, there's no shortcuts in footwear. You've got to lean into it and do your homework. But there's also great folks like Caroline and other people who can introduce you. There's networks that you can plug into, but you got to be honest and authentic. And as long as you're willing to do the work, people, I think, will help. And Janet and Stephanie, I'll let you chime in on that too. Is that true? Do you feel like that's the?
I absolutely feel it that way, and I feel like our partners in Brazil have been just really kind and helpful, and and granted, we're new to this industry. Carolyn, Megan, our partners in Brazil, nobody has ever made us feel like any of our questions are silly or unwarranted, which is really nice. Like, it can be intimidating to do something completely brand new, right?
Right.
And I feel like they've been very open to educate us, show us, teach us, talk through, our questions. And when we have issues or whatever, they're very communicative, which has been great.
Yeah.
And I think during our trip, being in the factory, on the factory floor, watching our shoes, being made by hand. There's such an appreciation for the art. It's truly an art, like watching them make our shoes. It puts everything that Caroline and I have talked about, or our team has talked about, and looking, touching, feeling, and listening, but they're the experts, right? And listening to and asking questions, it makes the questions a little bit easier. It makes the conversations a little bit easier when things get tough or timelines start getting tight. Personal relationships are extremely important to the both of us. And
this spills into logistics also. Our customs, our shipping, and we've been really pleasantly surprised at how open people have been to help us and talk to us and,
guide
work with us. Yeah.
That's great.
Great.
Sabria, you got the last question.
Last question. Well, I don't really have a question, but I just think this brand is awesome. I had a chance while you guys were talking just to look at your website. And it's shopquads.com again for those who want to visit. But I personally just love this brand. I have a 13-year-old sister, and I feel like the tween marketplace has kind of dwindled, especially because of social media. And I feel like they're aging young girls so quickly nowadays. And so I feel like for her, she kind of has sneakers or she has like 6-inch high heels, and there's no like in between. And so I think this is a great product and a great brand that you guys are kind of filling that void and giving these teenage girls, the opportunity to just be 13 and be teenagers and tweens.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
I haven't tried on the shoes myself yet, but I see what's coming through, like Anthropology and Jake, and they're crap shoes, and our teenage girls and everybody in general needs to think a little bit more about buying better footwear that's made ethically, obviously, but also designed for comfort and health. I mean, if we keep buying these like shoes, in the market, and throwing them away after 2 months, I mean, there's a reason why some of our feet don't feel so good, right? So it behooves us to look at companies like this that are coming to the marketplace, filling a great void, but also making a really good pair of shoes that when we put them on our kids' feet, we can trust that they're going to have good foot health and not toss them after 2 months and not have issues later on down the road.
So the quality is amazing. I think the quality is great.
Yeah,
and then looking at the girls, their feet are still growing, right? So there's the stability in the heel area being wide enough, the forefoot not cramping their toes so that they can spread properly. I mean, these girls, their feet are still growing, right? So making sure that last was exactly what we needed.
Right.
That's great. Well, we appreciate you guys coming on and sharing a little bit about your story and your journey. Always glad to have Caroline back on, and thanks to Caroline for being so helpful. I think that's the great thing about our industry is folks like Caroline are willing to step up and get on the phone and talk to people and see where things are and guide and direct. And we're always excited when something comes into the market that's new and helps consumers, right? It focuses on their needs. And those are the brands that are always going to win because they're filling that niche that no one else is. So we're rooting you on. I'm glad it worked out. I'm glad you reached out. I'm glad you listened to Shoe and Show, and we can
we are forever grateful.
Yeah.
We are forever grateful for that relationship and that connection. It allowed us to begin. So we are very thankful.
Well, more than just talking heads apparently on this show, we can help help people start their dreams and build a company, which is awesome. And folks, as always, Shoe and Show drops every Monday. We have different conversations with people across the industry. Today's was a really fun conversation about a company starting up and starting to grow, and all the journey that goes into that. But also, I think a lot of that too is it goes back to the consumer needs that we have for footwear and building the right type of shoe for the right people and doing it in the right way. So as always, shoeandshow.com is our website. It's our full catalog. We've been doing this for over 5 years now, which sounds crazy when I say it out loud. But we hope you go back in the catalog. There's some really great conversations that are evergreen around culture and leadership, and just general ideas and the footwear industry. So whether you're new to the industry and you're wanting to learn a little bit more about it, there's some great conversations there. But also, if you've been in the industry a long time, there's always new ways to do business and find new ideas to do business a little bit better. And that's what we hope every single week you get something from us in that. So Sabria, as we go into the spring, make sure you're taking your Claritin because we're going to start sneezing very soon. I always say that every single year around springtime. That's just the polk service announcement is just please, I know Janet and Stephanie are about to get hit hard down in Atlanta. I'm from North Carolina and we get hit. And even here in Northern Virginia, we get hit really hard as well. So just FYI, nothing to do with shoes, but just looking out for all our listeners out there. We appreciate you. So with that, Caroline, thanks for coming on again.
Thank you.
And the work that you did to get quads off. Yeah, absolutely. And Janet and Stephanie, good luck. Keep close to us. Let us know how things are going. We'd love to see you at a shoe show, maybe the Atlanta market or somewhere else or at one of our events. We We hope you guys continually keep engaging with the community and let us know how we can help along the way.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you
Awesome.
so much.
All right. And with that, Shoe In is out.
Shoe In has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.